Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.
Cruising your way next, Off 90. We have a discussion with jazz virtuoso John Paulson, an abstract sculptor who works with found metal, a bakery and coffee shop in St. Peter that specializes in custom cupcakes. And we attend a beauty pageant for trucks. These stories and more are coming up on your next stop, Off 90. Hi, I'm Barbara Keith. Thanks for joining me on this trip, Off 90. John Paulson is a musician, composer, and teacher from Winona. He has more than 40 years of experience teaching. His specialty, jazz. He plays the saxophone and flute and leads a big band as well as smaller groups. He has also produced several albums. We caught up with Paulson at home and on the road to learn more.
This is a tenor saxophone. And this one in particular was made by a guy who used to do instrument repair in Winona, and now is really a world-famous saxophone technician. It looks really old and beat up, but it's, I think I've had it probably 10 or 12 years. It's still playing great. My name is John Paulson from Winona, Minnesota, and I play music, write music, and teach music.
I'm going to play a chorus on the saxophone without any blues notes and then get bluesy on the second chorus because you'll be able to hear what I'm talking about.
Basically a lifelong saxophone player. I started when I was 10 years old. The most popular guy in the class raised his hand when it came time to pick instruments. I'm not even sure I knew what it was. He's a doctor at the Mayo Clinic now, and I'm still a saxophone player. That's a solo that I had all written out, and then I spent about a year learning it. Composing is, I believe, it's as personal as all the different people who do it. For me, the creative element is pretty mysterious. One of my strongest points with my music is melody, and a lot of times I'll just be getting warmed up on the horn, or I'll be in my office studio here getting ready to practice, and a lick or a melodic idea will kind of come forth, and then I start to work with it. And sometimes I write these little snippets down, and other times I'll spend a whole afternoon trying to tease it out and see what I can get with it. And sometimes that's easy, and sometimes it takes days or maybe even weeks to keep coming back to make it happen. term big band has meant jazz. 1, 2, 3. That means a lot of different things, and it's a general term that refers more or less to the instrumentation, which is fairly standardized now with the five saxes or woodwinds, and 4 trumpets, 4 trombones, piano, bass, and drums, and guitar. The tree of jazz is branching out into all sorts of things. My music is a mix of blues and ballads and Latin influences and even funk music. It's all sort of twisted. I work with things here on the computer and try to hear the way that the music is going to sound with computer-generated sounds, but to hear them, these people actually play it is really exciting. I feel sorry for trumpet players because, you know, they only have those 3 buttons, and it just seems like it's boring. Because there's all this great stuff on here, you know. This is Big River Bossa, hopefully. There we go.
What does it mean to be an artist whose main media is metal? Abstract sculptor Andrew Hellmund melds found and recycled metals into meaningful sculptures that can be found in parks across the country. From pieces 1 foot tall to 10 feet tall, Andrew is creating sculptures for many communities to enjoy.
One of the really fascinating parts about being an abstract sculptor is there's a lot of well, in my practice at least, there's a lot of hands-on working with metal and, well, mostly these days metal, but in the past some wood and stone as well. And so when you're welding, you've got welding, you got grinding, there's a lot of flame, there's a lot of sparks, you catch on fire once in a while. It's really just a great memory, or a great time, you're alive. I'm Andrew, and I'm an abstract sculptor living in St. Peter, Minnesota, originally from Western Massachusetts. When I go look for materials, I'll go to scrap yards, I'll go to fabrication shops, I'll go to basically any sort of manufacturing where they might produce or some product or byproduct that's the metal I'm looking for. And it's not usually straight, I want to say boring, new stuff. I'm really looking for the most mangled, twisted, tormented pieces of metal that you can really make into a piece that has a lot of character. What I love about metal is that you can make a really big piece really quite quickly if you know kind of what you're doing. Ideas are going through my head a million miles an hour, and I can only capture a few of them and play with those ideas. And so being able to make it in a quicker way for me is really important. It's my language, I think, that for me makes the most sense. It's definitely challenging to try and depict movement in a static object. One plane, static. Two planes start to get a little energy, and then you start introducing more planes, and with planes we introduce different forms and different elements, and those elements start to create a language and a movement, a natural movement within the piece. I don't go into my pieces saying, oh, I want to create more movement. It's more like, this isn't working quite yet. We need to introduce something else. And the byproduct is the movement in many cases. I think people often maybe ask, how did you become a sculptor? I don't know if, it wasn't necessarily one day I put on a hat and suddenly I was a sculptor. I think for my whole life I've been a maker. And, I think sculpture isn't such a far reach from maker, it's just a different kind of maker maybe. And I started out when I was in middle school. I made a small house, insulated it and drywalled it and wired it, and it was a great experience and maybe helped me propel my making more. One of my childhood heroes kind of was Alexander Calder. He's an American sculptor who pioneered the stabile and the mobile, the hanging sculptures that move. And so I kind of copied him, I think, as a kid. I make little wire figures and such. My mobiles didn't turn out very well, but that's okay. People may look at the art and they're like, why are you welding together all this rusty metal that we pulled out of the field? I mean, I definitely get that vibe in the Midwest here. Why are you rusting metal? Why are you making rusty metal sculptures when we can just pull them out of the field and see that it's rusty metal? But really what I'm hoping is that maybe a few people can leave with a sense that there are more resources around us than we really give credit for. I mean, that's both materials and that's people. I think our society is really good at discarding people, but also discarding resources. And it's just a good reminder that there's more out there than we remember on a daily basis. In the future, I'd like to maybe use like a big crane and make a 25-ton sculpture out of these massive elements and kind of, maybe have a whole crew putting them together. Just, that'd be really fun. Maybe on more of a personal level, I'd like to just be able to keep making sculpture. Keep making it happen somehow, It's a privilege to be able to make art.
High up on the hill in St. Peter sits a little bakery with pastries and cupcakes galore. Sherry Brown is well known for her tasty treats, but you might just have to see it to believe it. Or better yet, stop by sometime for a snack. I hope you're craving something sweet.
I started baking when I was very young. I remember being, I suppose like 8, 9, 10. I've always loved to be in the kitchen. My favorite thing is to bake. I do cook, but baking has always been my favorite. I have a lot of good cooks and bakers in my family. I always was in the kitchen with them, enjoyed watching them bake. After working at a desk for 14 years, I finally decided to give it a shot. Hi, I'm Sherry Brown and I'm the owner of Diamond Dust Bakery in St. Peter, Minnesota. When I was young, I always made homemade bread. And I got really, really good at cinnamon rolls and caramel rolls. I was known in college for my cinnamon rolls. I'd always have knocks on my door. I want to order some cinnamon rolls for different events. And then I had a gal that I worked with ask me to do cupcakes because she knew that I was a baker, and it blew up. I was running out of the room in my kitchen at home, and that's when I kind of started looking into, is this something I can do? Is it a business that I want to open? And it just kind of took off from there. I've always been in the food business. The first job that I actually wasn't involved in the food business was I worked at Gustavus for 14 years. And then decided to do this. And that's kind of how I found the building that I am in too. Was just, I used to drive by here every day on my way to work, and I seen the gentleman who owned the building standing out one day and stopped and talked to him, and the rest is history. I started here because it's my hometown. This is where I was raised, where I grew up, where I went to school. And I just felt like I had something to offer St. Peter, and that's why I decided to do it here. One question that everyone always asks me is, where did the name Diamond Dust Bakery come from? And my great-great-grandfather had a tavern in St. Peter out on Highway 99 across the bridge, and the name of the tavern was Diamond Bluff Tavern. So it's kind of a take on that. We went from Diamond Bluff Tavern to Diamond Dust Bakery. Our average day we would have a shelf of cupcakes, and those vary from day to day. It depends upon what the baker wants to put out, and so, a lot of times we'll piggyback on any orders that we have for cupcakes. We'll have a full shelf of salads and cold sandwiches. We'll have 2 shelves of specialty desserts, and then we have a case full of pastries, basically for breakfast, and then into the day we have donuts and different fruit croissants and those kind of items. A lot of times when I'm sitting down with brides and grooms and they can't decide on a cupcake, I'll say, what's your favorite candy bar? And a lot of times we're inspired from that. You know, oh, I like Butterfinger. Oh, well, let's put together a Butterfinger cupcake for you. Just different spins on the traditional. And then most of our cupcakes have a filling, some type of a filling in them. Our Butterfinger has crushed Butterfinger. Our Snickers have chopped up Snickers with homemade caramel. All of our frostings for our cupcakes are homemade. Like our Snickers have salted caramel frosting. Butterfinger will have a peanut butter cream cheese frosting on them, and then of course our vanilla has the vanilla buttercream. I think the funnest is when we get our wedding orders, and there's 4 of us in the kitchen cranking out the cupcakes and turning on the music and getting the job done. I think it's a lot of fun. We're all working together as a team and making it happen. So we are located on Sunrise Drive in St. Peter, across from the high school football field and just right outside the Gus Davis campus.
Have you ever been to a car show? Well, this show tops them all. It's the annual Shell Rotella SuperRigs Competition. It's a semi-truck show for the bold and the beautiful working trucks from across the United States. It's a traveling competition that has crisscrossed the nation for 37 years, and this last year, it was held in Albert Lea.
We're here at the 37th annual Shell Rotella SuperRigs Competition. This is a truck beauty competition for working trucks.
Each year they pick a different spot. So we're really, really fortunate to have them pick trails to come in here this weekend.
The contestants here are from all across the nation. We even have some from Canada as well. So as far south as Texas, from the East Coast and West Coast, so they're from all over. We get a lot of local contestants from the area where we're hosting. So this year we've got a lot from Minnesota.
Number one being the fact that it came to Albert Lea, my hometown this year, was kind of the big push. I just thought it would be fun to show in my hometown. I got a lot of people that know me and know the truck, so.
Trails Travel Center has been a great host location. They've done a number of things to help tie in the community, so they've been fantastic. These trucks are judged on a number of different criteria that we have. There's best interior, best engine, exterior cleanliness, best chrome, and best of show are just a few of the different categories that we have.
Judging is really, really hard because you know that everybody who comes here has a lot of passion about their truck, and they really put a lot of time, effort, energy, money. Oh my word, money do they put in these trucks. And so we have to spend a lot of time being very thoughtful, and when we walk around the truck, we look at the overall appearance. What does it look like when it rolls up? Does it reflect the personality of the driver getting out of it? that kind of thing, just a very general overview. And then you really start, you know, dialing in on the detail, because when you're talking about a show truck competition like Shell SuperRigs, this is the Super Bowl of show trucks. So it's going to be 1-2 points that separate the top 3 winners.
They have the opportunity to compete for prize money up to $25,000. One of the key highlights is the opportunity to be featured in our Shell Rotella SuperRigs calendar. So 12 contestants have the privilege of getting placed in the calendar for the year.
Now we're seeing different styles and trends that come along, and then young drivers who are just getting into show trucks, but they grew up at this show. So it's just a lot of fun. There's a sense of community.
I know most of the truckers here. By the end of the weekend, I'll know a lot more of them. Every time we come to one of these, we make more friends, and we have friends all over the world and all over the country because of shows like this.
The trucking industry is just kind of a bunch of friends, and especially when you get into the show side of it.
Definitely like a brotherhood.
It's more than what I thought. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
This is a great opportunity for us to get to celebrate the hardworking trucker and their individual stories.
She spent a couple hours under the trailer cleaning the trailer up, and so...
A couple hours. Couple more than a couple.
If I had the opportunity to come to SuperRigs, hands down, I'd be there.
Oh, we'll absolutely be back again. Just tell us where you're going to be and we follow you.
We've reached the end of this tour off 90. Thanks for riding along. See you next time. But before we go, we checked out the Dammen Adventure Race in Austin.
Hi, my name is Adriana Meyergerd. I am an office administrative assistant here at the J.C. Hormel Nature Center. Each year we host the Kevin Dammen Adventure Race, and this is the 2nd annual race. It's a fundraiser for our Kevin Dammen mentorship program, which I was a part of for 4 years. In the adventure race, you compete as a team of 2, and you complete different nature-themed activities. Each year we focus around a different topic. This year we're focusing on bees. We chose bees because we have 3 different hives here at the Nature Center at the main property, and then further out north we have 2 more hives as well. We harvest the honey from the bees to sell, and all the profits go towards a donation to the Nature Center.
All right, so now over here at Laurel.
As a team, you will compete in a variety of different events. One of them includes a clothespin drop, which occurs at our tower, where you and a partner will compete in dropping clothespins from the top of our tower into small canning jars. We also include a little bit of math just to spice things up. We also include canoeing and kayaking as part of our race as well. Other various things include tasks relating to art, pollen collecting, and nectar. My favorite part about the race is when people come out and you see their big smiling faces as they're competing and having a ton of fun, while not maybe necessarily realizing that they're learning something new. But then when they come back and they'll be able to say, oh, I remember this, or I remember this that I learned at the race, which is just a really cool opportunity. People can win a number of things. We get a lot of donations from local businesses, all of them being relatively nature themed, including some hammocks, walkie-talkies, and lanterns. We started this race because Kevin and Kyle Dammen were volunteers here at the Hormel Nature Center for a number of years. When Kevin passed away in 2011, it was very hard for a lot of us here. Our director, Luke Reese, decided to create the Kevin Dammen Adventure Race, which is kind of like the Amazing Race like you see on TV. The race helps fund the Kevin Dammen mentorship program, which is a mentorship program for youth ages 13 to 18 who come out to the Nature Center and decide to help with the different activities that we provide and educational opportunities throughout the summer months. The mentorship program became my very first job. The most fulfilling thing is being able to share the knowledge of nature that I've learned from so many people here at the Nature Center and be able to share that with the others that come in.
Funding for Off 90 is provided in part by the Minnesota Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund and the citizens of Minnesota.